Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways. Yeah. And that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, reporting live and direct straight from paradise, family. So when I talk about living in your own narrative, it's something that I am doing daily. It's something that I've been constructing. I'm struggling as much as you guys, although not struggling is the wrong word, but like really moving towards releasing Babylon and moving into this amazing new dawn. So I'm really talking about the things that I'm doing in my own life, but those are stories for other days. Special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us. You have made us a totally, Black independent channel. We absolutely appreciate, love each and every one of you. There's a lot happening behind the scenes, family. We have started an Unity Communities overwhelming response that I actually need to speak to my web guy to see how we can move it from you guys sending me emails, which is like the old school way, to you guys, doing it through websites. And if this is your first time hearing about it, the Unity Communities is basically consciousness communities or philosophical communities, historical society, whatever you want to call it, that we're setting up across the world. The greatest need that I have seen from all your emails that I've been getting for the last 4 or 5 years is this need for a community, for people that you can physically, in wherever you are in your city, just meet, exchange vibes with, and just feel understood. So that's the whole vibe of the Unity Communities, family. And yeah, I'll do a separate show on that. There's a lot that's going to be happening with that, family. It's taken us a long time to even think of setting something like that up, because remember, whenever you set something up, it's your energy that is at the root. And of course, everyone who is joining me on this journey, it's our energy. But it's really, whatever you do, family, always remember that it's a commitment of your energy, and you have a certain amount of energy. So make sure you're using that energy well. Stories of 4 other days. A family. I really thought it's important to discuss this, because there's this whole wave that's happening right now where, we're like, we want to be compensated, we want to be, we want our reparations. We've seen the whole wave that's been happening across the Caribbean, where Caribbean countries are now saying that they don't want to be part of the British crown anymore. They want it to become republics. We've been following the ADDI movement in the divided states by our African American brothers and sisters, where they're demanding their, 40 acres and a mule equivalent in today's terms, and just economic justice. And for me, family, I've never been an advocate of reparations, because I feel like that's the wrong place for us to physically put our energy. I think it's something we should be doing more from a spiritual overstanding, and it would happen much quicker than trying to argue with these guys on a physical level. That means you're playing in their playing field. When you have dimensions that you can play this game that they're not even on, which give you like a crazy advantage. Because you see, it's all about energy, family. It's all about narratives, like that narrative thing. That should just, I wish people, that's all you need to understand, is the narrative and the global narratives. Because listen to this article. So basically what I'm talking about today is how reparations have already been paid. So it's like, energetically speaking, Babylon feels like they've already closed out that cycle. But guess what? The reparations weren't paid to those that were enslaved. It was paid to the slave owners. And even you who have been living in the divided kingdom, you've helped to pay those taxes to those slave owners for that loan through your taxes right up until, 2015. That's when it ended. So this is why I'm saying, like, they've already closed out that narrative loop. And so if you want that kind of liberation, you have to pursue it in a different way. And, so this article I was reading is from Tax Justice Network, which has been exposing the injustice that's been done through taxes, et cetera, et cetera. And they say, there's a very important line that they said, that has to do with a nation, this quote, and I quote directly from them: "A nation that doesn't understand its own history and the roots of its wealth will struggle to understand how power, finance, politics, and economies work." And they've written this article. I'll actually share it in the description box or in the comments. And it talks about how, the British taxpayer literally stopped paying a loan that recompensated the slave owner in 2015. And, the British government actually borrowed 20 million pounds, family, to compensate slave owners, which amounted to a massive 40% of the Treasury's annual income, or about 5% of the British GDP. There's some articles that have actually calculated what that would be equivalent to in today's day and age, and it comes to like billions and billions of British pounds, but this particular article hasn't. And this loan was taken out in 1885 because of the abolishment of slavery. Abolition meant that profiteering from human misery would gradually come to an end. Not a penny was paid to those who were enslaved and brutalized. But the British government took 20 million pounds in 1835, family. And that has been paid till 2015. Half of what they were worth to pay their own, to let our people go, and our own. Even those who have moved from Africa, even those who have moved from the Caribbean, have been paying the families of the slave masters of their families. Reparations, like, that's just so dark and twisted. That's just so dark and twisted. That's why I always say family. There's no justice for us in this system. There's no justice that will come in this matrix. And for us to seek it, I know people get emotional and you come for me in the comments, but I gotta say it until you really hear me clearly. Because I ain't stuttering, family. Don't think that the one who put you in a situation is going to pay you for that, is going to compensate you for that. Don't think reparations will come because you're demanding it. By now, you should understand the language of the cabal that rules this world. They don't do anything fairly and squarely, but they understand the universal principles. They understand closing out narratives. So they've paid their reparations. That's why the reparations thing is like, we paid, but we paid our people. Like, that's how they see it. They see the world from their perspective, no one else's. We're the only ones who were cloned mentally to see the world from their perspective, which is what has messed us up, because some of us can't even see the world clearly from our own perspective, which is why I'm trying to get people back into their own narratives. Because so many of our people are mental clones, and that's what we're trying to come out of, that mental cloning. And yes, justice must be served. Yes, reparations must be paid for those who built the current mega cities, who built the divided states, which is our people, who built the divided kingdom. The entire Europe, by the way, was built by people that look like you and me. And there's so much I could go into European architecture, family, and how, and the black royalty, but, those are just stories for other days. But I share this reparations, according to them, the rulers of the dispensation that is dying. They paid their reparations. So when they see you asking for it, they don't even get it. They're like, your payment was your freedom. Like, that's how they think. I'm not saying I think like that, but that's how they think. You're free. What? We don't owe you money. Because we weren't wrong for enslaving you in the first place. That's why we paid our own people, because they couldn't benefit from you anymore. Like, you guys need to understand how brutal capitalism is. Like, strip capitalism of its lip gloss and its fake eyelashes and all this bull. Strip capitalism to the bare minimum, and you'll see how vampiristic and cold it is. Like, there is no emotion in capitalism, family. It's literally what they tell you, a dog-eat-dog world. And our ancestors, I share this to say, our ancestors and our ancient ones are saying those reparations are coming. But they're not going to come from them because they can't pay you. They don't even have the money to pay you. But those reparations are coming. And you see, our people deal with ma'at, our ancestors who are fighting in the spiritual realms, who are already here. They deal with an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So they're not looking at financial compensation, family. But those are stories for other days. Tuko pamoja. So many of us have made transformational changes in the last 2 years in our lives. Many of us have relocated. Many of us have moved out of old relationships, old cities, old ways of being, old careers, and we find ourselves in very new environments, both internally and externally. And one of the greatest requests that I get from you guys all the time is, do I know of people of like mind, people of like consciousness, people who are also searching or on their awakening journey in your communities, who you can get together with, who you can reason together with, because you almost need that support system to create your own narrative. And it's something that I actually didn't even fully understand the value of it until I moved to the little village, which I feel is my final destination for now. And I've met so many people, healers, people who are in the new industry here. And one of the things is there is like a conscious community, but one of the things is I moved here to hang out with one of my friends. Well, not hang out really, but to kind of, I was spiritually drawn here, but she was already here, and she's a healer, a womb healer, etc., a whole other story. And through her, I met another conscious family who do only organic farming from heirloom seeds. And through her, I met other community members, and I found it so important in terms of anchoring me into my new narrative. And so I really would love it if we could create communities across the motherland and across wherever melanated people are across the world, family. We are willing to coordinate that here and kind of see where it goes. So if you'd be interested in something like this, definitely email me, drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. And we're just going to start by, putting people in touch, maybe creating WhatsApp groups, etc., Oh my gosh, it's raining. So definitely consider joining us, family. Tuko pamoja.